For the first time ever, I am thrilled to say we have an official sponsor for the Dirt Talk podcast, and that's Ariat. I've worn Ariat boots on every job site I've visited over the years, traveling in them across 5 continents. More importantly, I have yet to find a single project where working folks, unlike me, are not wearing Ariat boots and workwear in every condition imaginable. And there's really good reason for that, and that's because it's phenomenal stuff. And the more I've learned about Ariat and the company, the more I've loved their brand. So with this, Ariat is offering any Dirt Talk listener 10% off their next Ariat order at ariat.com/dirttalk. That's 10% off boots, jeans, and workwear at ariat.com/dirttalk or at the link in this episode's description. With that, let's get to the show.
Welcome to another internal-external podcast.
They're both at this point now. Yeah.
You kind of tricked me a little bit, but I like it.
Yeah, I transparency wins is a value for a reason. I think it does us more of a service to have it as both. Like I just don't see the I don't see the downside to not sharing stuff.
Yeah.
Like I don't know who I was talking, maybe Dan the other day, but I was talking, with some of the stuff we've been trying to restrict what we share, and we've always done so well, and we've always been so successful at sharing everything.
Yeah.
And so it's like, well, it's worked for us so far, and we're doing it 6.5 years. It's not that long, but it's long enough. You've got some data there to, okay, hey, we've been doing this, it's been working out. So why wouldn't it work going into the future? So I want to keep sharing as much as we can, because I just think it I like it's cool to have people following along.
Yeah. It's
cool to have people. There's so many people now. Something I hear on social media all the time now is like, hey, I've followed you since, early on, or whatever it is. And people like being able to see the progress, see the progression.
Yeah.
And so it's been cool to share that with people over the past, I guess now 7 years.
Well, and from a lead by example standpoint, we hope others are watching and they'll do the same. Share best practices, share lessons learned, share what's going on. Like, it shouldn't be a secret. Like, if we truly want to improve the dirt world, there's an opportunity for everyone to share best practices. So
yeah. And I think that's happening more than ever before.
Totally.
Honestly.
Yeah. Definitely starting to see it. I mean, Connect's showing it. We've got, great leaders jumping on.
Yeah.
We've got people sharing on social. So definitely are starting to see more and more people share.
Yeah, even going on LinkedIn nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
I just see so much on there. If nowhere else. It's just amazing how much information is being shared, and we've got this project or got this person doing this great thing or so on and so forth. It's really, really cool.
Yeah.
And
definitely.
maybe, I don't know, maybe I see more of it than most since we're connected to so many people, but I do think, I think, I know there's way more sharing now than ever before.
Yeah.
And I still think we need a lot of it. There's still a lot of people on the sideline right now.
Yeah.
A lot of people on the sideline, but I feel like we're coaxing them out. Yeah. Slowly but surely. I mean, even people like, Dan Garcia or Ryan Schmidt, like these guys, even a few years ago, I don't think were very well known,
right?
Or I guess well known are now.
They've built a personal brand.
Quite well known.
Yeah. And I think that's important. Like, personal brand is just as important as company brand, because people, as they're selecting, where do I want to go to work? What are their values? Who do I want to align with? Reading things that Dan Post or Ryan or Herb Sargent or some of these incredible leaders that are out there, you start to say, yeah, I want to be a part of that. I believe in what they say and what they're doing.
Well, and a big part, we talk about employer brand being, who am I going to work for? That's a big piece of it.
Yeah.
I want to know who I am going to work for. And I think that was why I made a lot of my career decisions early on. I want to know who's leading the charge. Who's at the helm of this ship. Because if I'm getting on the ship, I need to have confidence in where we're going, big picture. I don't, me at this role, I don't have really any control over where the ship's going. And so I need to understand where it's going before I get on it. And I don't think people always do that, but I think a lot of people do. And we've always said, I think from the very beginning, like one of the most important pages on a website is leadership.
Yeah.
Who are these people?
Mm-hmm.
And the more I can learn about these people, I think the more comfortable I am.
Yeah.
Going to work for them.
Well, ironically, the thing I do is I'll go to the website to see maybe who's listed, but I immediately go to their social media pages.
I go right there too.
To go and see what are they liking, what are they sharing, what are they talking about, et cetera, because that's where you really start to see some of the personality and character, come out, as in whether or not they're active or not and what they're posting and sharing.
But most people are not active. But you know what I've noticed a lot? Most everybody's there though.
Yeah.
They're lurking.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of lurkers.
I call them lurkers. Yeah. They're out there. I know they're out there.
Yeah.
I see them lurking around.
Yeah.
I'm reminded by that all the time. These people will, I'll meet with some leader and they'll say, oh yeah, they'll mention something that I've posted recently. I'm like, oh, I didn't even know you're on social media. So you're on there. Like you're on there. And sometimes it's not even under like an official name profile.
Might even be logged in under a spouse's name.
Yeah, under their spouse. Yeah, I've seen that a lot, actually. That's pretty common.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm definitely not as active as you are, but I'm shocked at how many people I see now in person, and they'll comment on things that I've shared or posted or talked about. And they'll say things like, man, I really appreciate, X, Y, or Z, whatever that is.
Yeah.
And in my head, I'm like, well, why didn't you just drop a note or a comment or communicate that? But I get it. They're just not into it.
But it's such an advantage from a building relationship standpoint and from business development standpoint. It's almost like perpetual home field advantage.
Yeah.
Like they're on your turf.
That's right.
Essentially. And in a way, this is how I have it in my mind. Like it just removes the need to explain who I am and what I believe in and what I do.
Yeah.
If I talk with them and they say, love what you do.
Right.
I'm in. Now this whole conversation can be about them.
Right.
Because I have that credibility. They know who I am. We don't need to spend half the conversation with me addressing that, because that's like the most inefficient part of the conversation in a way, just explaining who you are and what you do.
Totally.
Because it takes some time.
Well, and from a BuildWit standpoint, opportunity to maybe give a little bit of props. So like to call out, Dan's been super active lately on social.
Dan's been killing it. Yeah.
Great stories, super engagement, kind of just telling where we're at, where we're going, just bringing some insights. I really enjoyed his post. I've enjoyed the comments. Some of them are kind of funny. Some of them I read and go, not really sure what that's all about. But
some of them are LinkedIn. Like I was telling you guys the other day, I think the most ridiculous comments are on LinkedIn, because it's all the people. It's like a lot of peacocking.
Yeah,
right. like a lot of people, out to prove how smart they are. It's like, okay, thank you for writing this paragraph.
Yeah,
that ultimately means nothing.
Yeah,
I don't even know what this means.
Well, it's funny because I'll see some of your comments, which you don't comment a ton on other people's posts, but when you do, it's typically one sentence or less, and most of the time it's 5 or 6 words, and it doesn't even include a period. Mm-hmm. But what's cool is I'm like, oh, I know Aaron read it. It shows up in my feed because you've commented on it. Yeah. It shows, kind of thought, idea, support. I love it when you comment on other people's stuff. Point that I'm trying to make is you don't have to have some profound, big, long comment. Just engage. No.
Or I'll also message people if I see something cool on social media or something or a new project. I'll message people, hey, this is awesome. This is and just to let them know, like, thinking about you, saw this, rooting for you guys. I try to keep it positive.
Yeah, totally.
Or on LinkedIn, I'm super sarcastic a lot of times too. Mm-hmm. People, which just goes way over people's heads. Way over people's heads. But I kind of like that. It's fun.
Another one who's been active here lately is Randy. Randy started posting. He's got a goal once a week.
Randy's got a once a week goal.
He's trying to get out there, and he's been doing some podcasts, which have been incredible. So it's fun to see him kind of coming out of his shell, and he's went from all black CFO to he's sharing Dirt World stories and thoughts and beliefs, and he just did an incredible podcast with Joshua Malott from Blackline that I really enjoyed. But yeah, he's incredible and glad to see that he's active.
But I enjoy that we do it all in our own ways too.
Yeah.
But some of the stuff Dan will post, it's like, damn, that's pretty vulnerable. I'll look, I was like, man, like even today he posted, we'd probably be out of business if it weren't for Randy, a CFO. I'm like, and I was sitting there, I was like, yes, that's exactly true. I would have thought twice about putting that online, but like, good for him. Like, yeah, I can't argue with it.
No,
I can't be mad about that.
Totally.
That's the truth.
Yeah. Well, and it tied right into, Michael King's going to be talking on Build With Connect. And so it's fun how Dan does it. He'll share thoughts, ideas, lessons learned, and he ties it to other things that are kind of going on. So he's got his own style, which is super cool. And I enjoy following him. And I think it's pretty good. Another one that's out there, just last props for BuildWit. Chell has been working really hard and he's about to hit 100,000 followers on Instagram for blue collar photographers.
That's a lot.
I think it's a lot of followers. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah. I enjoy following all the people we have out in the field because everybody has their totally different perspective, which is quite fun too. Like we do. We all kind of share the same thing, but from different perspectives. Yeah. And even seeing, it's like AV, Wyatt, and Shell are all out making stuff with Independent right now in California, but the perspectives and what they share, completely different. Right. Completely different, which is quite fun.
Yeah, and you can tell AV's out there because he's trying to find, a way to attach a camera to some piece of equipment in the most obscure, crazy place.
Well, I was talking to somebody about that yesterday. I was like, I can't wait to see AV and Wyatt together. And they're like, oh, they're on a shoot this week together. I was like, oh no, that's just going to be just crazy in like the best way possible. Right. But just seeing those two together, trying to get a different perspective
of course
in every way they possibly can.
Yeah. And I'll just be first to admit, I still have absolutely zero idea what I'm doing on social media. I'm making posts, I'm liking things, I'm sharing stuff to stories. And a lot of times, even when I'm like resharing somebody's post to one of my stories, I still have no clue what I'm doing, but I'm doing it because I just want to show support. And I'm hopeful that maybe somebody else will get to see it that like helps shine a light on them. So my point in saying that is for anybody that's out there watching, like, dude, smash the like button, share a story. It's all good.
What do your kids think about your social media?
Well, it's funny that you should ask because we have had a no social media policy for our kids. But here's the ironic thing. My son just opened an Instagram account. So now I'm working through that with my wife, Carrie.
And trying to figure out. How old are your kids? Remind everybody.
My daughter is 15. She's a sophomore in high school.
So
so we're right there. And then my son is 13.
Yeah.
What's crazy is he's been doing this basketball thing and he got to this certain, milestone, and the league that he plays in, they do a social shout out. Well, I told him like, buddy, that seems like a pretty cool idea. Like, I'm going to have to talk to your mom about you getting an Instagram. Well, he took that as I can get an Instagram. So he started an Instagram page. Next thing you know, he's following 100 people. He sent me a connection request, like all these things. I'm like, he's just ready to go to town, and he's my entrepreneur. So it's going to be hard to slow him down. So
I think, social media, it's like I understand all of the, I don't understand all the negatives. There's a lot of negatives that I do and don't understand of social media, but there's just so much value to be created if you treat it as a tool. It's so like people treat it like it just is this one thing. No, it's like anything else. A car, I can street race with it, or I can get a family of 5 to soccer practice with it. Exact same thing, but 2 totally different activities. Right. With the same thing. It's like social media is the same thing. It's just a tool. It depends on how you utilize it. And you are being herded in a way, but you can also, if you understand how you're being herded, work with it and against it in a way. My life is infinitely more rich with it than without it.
Yeah. I think there's just like from a parenting standpoint, there's this.
Yes.
You worry about things that could be said directly that could have an impact. And so I just think that if you're going to have and Graham, my son, he's like looking everything up. Like, Dad, you only have to be 13. I'm qualified. So it's like, well, I get it, but it's just another element of parenting that you've got to coach, have an open relationship in terms of communication, trust, transparency, conversation. So we're navigating it right now. We don't have it all figured out. We didn't make him shut it down yet. But it's definitely something that we're going to figure out. He wants to be able to build a personal brand. He wants to start, he watches, he sees me on Dirt Talk, sees me show up on the YouTube, on the television in the living room. We're watching all the different channels. He follows you. Like, he definitely wants to be a part of it. But anyways, it's going to be interesting.
Well, if he's following me, I'm okay with it.
I love it.
Yeah, that's fine. It's on the parenting note. That was, I think, one of the most fascinating things about going to college my freshman year. You could very quickly tell who had parents that were too restrictive. Yeah. Because they were the kids that were wild, like day one. Just they've had all these restrictions, and now all the restrictions are removed, and they don't know what to do with themselves. Yeah. And it is just pandemonium. Yeah. That first day, the first week of college, you're just like, what is this?
Yeah. I went to a small D3 Christian school, and I can tell you that I experienced it firsthand.
I went to Arizona State. Yeah. so yeah, I mean, it's just like, the inmates are in charge of the prison, the asylum. It's just chaos. Yeah.
Speaking of kids, they're back in school, so definitely slow down. Watch out for kids. If you're listening to this, just a reminder. Kids are at the bus stops again. So, my goodness, it's such a dangerous time. People get complacent, and whatnot. So, slow down. Yeah. Slow down in construction zones. Look out for kids.
Yeah. Everybody's just in a rush, man.
The world is in a rush.
It is. That was the nice thing about Europe. I've gotten more, with every trip, I've gotten more and more and more present. And so when I'm go to all these countries, it in a way I slow down. I'm going a million miles an hour because the schedule's insane. Yeah. But I take it all in. I try to take as much as I can in, and it's just awesome to slow life down. Yeah. And to notice these things. Just notice interactions that people have on the street. Notice the street itself, different shops, the weather. Like you're just noticing. All this stuff's happening around you all the time. Right. But you're just in such a rush. You don't actually take inventory of it. Yeah. But when you're in a different place, it's easier to take inventory of it. And it was nice to have a whole month of that. Just wholly appreciating everywhere I went for probably the first time in my life like that.
I'd love to have a month, but I did get about 30 minutes this morning. I went for a walk with no headphones.
That's awesome too.
Beautiful crisp morning. Huge. People were out. Nashville is beautiful. Went for a walk through the town.
Beautiful morning this morning.
Oh, it was gorgeous. Yeah. Everybody's out walking their dogs. Yeah. But just I was like, oh, I don't remember seeing that building, or in that house, or like just noticing things. And it's just because I wasn't distracted.
Yeah. Yeah. But there's a lot to distract us right now. There's a lot going on.
I will say that at BuildWit, I think that's been part of our key to success is our focus this year. Yeah. Never been more focused than what it feels like we've been this year.
Yeah, and especially like whenever we talk with a lot of outside companies now too, and I think some companies are like they're eyeing the industry as an opportunity. Yeah, we're thinking about it, or we're over here, this and that, and I just sit there and we couldn't do that. And even when we've been like in the general contractor world, even getting pulled in that direction, or it's like, no, we can't do that. Because if we go down that path, we're not wholly focused on this path, and we have to, for it to work, we have to be wholly focused. It doesn't work otherwise. We've gotta just do this one thing. And a lot of people haven't understood that on the outside, but I think that's the only way to really, really make it work.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, maybe not the only way, but it's kind of the key to success here.
Yeah. Well, it's even been a huge help for us as an ELT and then our OLT, like just kind of getting in our lanes and knowing where can Jason add the most value? Where can Aaron add the most value? Yeah. And, I think having that clarity has just been, incredible, and the alignment amongst the organization, you can just kind of feel that we're all pulling in the same direction.
Yeah. And I mean, up until probably 6 months ago, I don't think we really had that ever.
No.
As clear as it is now.
Yeah.
And I was talking with somebody too, and he was talking about their executive meetings and how they're a chore. And I think ours were a chore for a long time, but I told him, man, I love Fridays.
Yeah.
Because we get to sit around. It's an hour and a half meeting. It's a long meeting, but I love that meeting because we're just solving problems, having discussions. We're just in it with each one of us from our perspective in our lanes. Yeah. And it's a really good feeling. Really good. There's no politicking. There's no nonsense. It's just, let's solve these problems the best we can.
I feel free in those meetings to just be vulnerable. And to have a great, discussion, you have to be vulnerable enough to talk about a problem.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you talk about a problem, you feel like, oh, I've failed. But what's cool about our meetings is we bring problems or challenges that we have, and then the team comes together to figure out how to solve them. It's not just Jason's problem. It's our problem. It's the BuildWit problem. And we're trying to figure out what's the best way to solve that and really who can help solve it the quickest. Because sometimes I bring problems and I'm not the one to solve it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a mistake I've made in the past is I've taken too much on myself and just said, this is my burden to bear.
Yeah.
I can take full responsibility for something, but it's kind of stupid to just put these whole things on my shoulders sometimes when we can distribute things a little bit better.
Totally.
And it makes we end up with a better solution anyway than 100%. Me trying to figure it out.
I'm working on a contract right now. I'm not the best contract person, so I reached out to Randy and Kara.
Yeah.
And they're helping me facilitate, the context and the language and what should be and what could be. And then Carol will format it, put it in PandaDoc, get it to me. I can review it. It's like it would take me weeks to be able to do what they can do in a short amount of time. So just leveraging the right people on the team is incredible.
But now that we have that, there is no way I could ever work in another way.
No.
And you've been in the other way. I haven't been at the other way at the executive level before.
Yeah.
But I get enough of it from other companies every once in a while. It's just like, oh no, this is what these people do all the time. To not trust the people you work with, which is probably a vast majority of people, honestly, that's just exhausting.
Yeah.
Just to always be looking over your shoulder.
Yep. Yeah. Patrick Lencioni had it figured out with 5 dysfunctions a team.
It's real.
It is.
It's real. Yeah. And without that just trust, you can't do anything else.
But I would just say one of the things that, you were great about is, you brought that book, we studied it, we read it. It was a process for us to get to where we are.
It was a process.
It's not like overnight we just clicked. It's like, oh, we had the right people on the bus in the right seats and all of a sudden, boom, it happened.
No.
It's been a process that we've been through. And it feels good where we are now. And I know that we're constantly learning and growing and trying to get better and looking at new ways of doing things amongst our team, but even within the greater good of the organization. And but it's always a work in progress. And I think we're constantly challenging ourselves to how can we be better leaders? What do we need to be working on? What do we need to be focusing on?
Yeah, and that I didn't just read Extreme Ownership and just, oh, wow, I completely understand it. I don't have to read this again. We're good. It's problem solved. Yeah. I can now just go on my life with this great lesson learned. It's like, I think I read it first maybe 10 years ago.
Right.
I've read it multiple times since.
Yeah.
And I'm still trying to figure out how the heck to apply it day to day.
That's right.
It's and the 5 Dysfunctions teams, exact same thing.
Yeah.
One of probably the simpler books.
Yeah.
And one of the better books I've read from a leadership standpoint.
Right.
But yeah, it just takes time.
But I think that's why you can't just check the box and train. Well, we've done that. Done. It's this. You've got to have an annual. You've got to have quarterly. You have to have weekly. You've got to have daily type, activities that are in your system or process.
Yeah.
That from a consistency standpoint, you're revisiting principles on a regular basis.
Well, and like from a job site standpoint, with how dynamic job sites are, we could have the world's best trench safety training today.
Yeah.
We could do a week on trench safety. A trench on just one project.
Circumstances change.
It varies so much.
Yeah.
So much.
Totally. Depth, soils.
Everything about
weather.
it. Yes. Yeah. Traffic. There's so much there.
Mm-hmm.
And so that, I think that's where those daily conversations come into play. That daily training comes into play is because there's so much variety. It's impossible to train for every scenario, in a classroom, in an 8-hour session, online, whatever it is. It's just not achievable.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we gravitate so much to the military, especially special operations, because there's a little bit of classroom, but it's just nonstop training in real world scenarios. So that, and they still don't get all the scenarios figured out.
Yeah.
Like look at the Bin Laden raid. They crashed the helicopter, but they had trained so much that even when things go completely wrong, they knew exactly what to do.
Yeah.
Because they've even as like a team had so many different challenges to overcome and solve within their training that a new challenge comes, but they know how to interact and solve it because they've trained on that process.
Yes, totally.
Yeah.
I love that. Speaking of training, we got, Chad Wright and the Echelon Front team coming again to the summit this year. So we do tend to work in the military people.
We do. So I've been having a lot of summit conversations right now. Dirt World Summit, November 4th through 6th, San Antonio, Texas. You know what I don't want to get frustrated, and I need to be careful with how I message this since this is external as well.
Mm-hmm.
The most frustrating response is, well, we go to a lot of conferences. and I'm like, yeah, I do too.
Mm-hmm.
I go to more conferences than most people in this industry, I feel like.
Yeah.
Because of just all the
speaking and
I've been doing.
opportunities.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's not another conference.
Mm-mm.
It's yes, it's another gathering that's industry focused, but like that's where the similarities stop. Yeah. I feel like it's just different, and it's not even me trying to say we're better than all the other conferences. It's just a different product. It's a completely different product.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to message how different it is because until I feel like the people that attended last year, they understand that it's a different product. Right. But if you haven't been there, it's really hard to articulate how different it really is without just saying like just show up.
Yeah.
And if it's not a different product, I'll give you your money back. Like not trying to pull the wool over your eyes here.
Right.
It's a completely different experience.
Yeah. I think this speakers do an incredible job of challenging all of your thinking that you've ever had before. Yeah. So number one, it just starts out with incredible speaker lineup and agenda. But beyond that, I think what really makes it special is the people that are in the room.
Yeah.
They're innovative, they're creative, they're ready for something new and different. And then they're transparent, they're open, they're sharing, like the conversations are just different. And so you listen to somebody and then there's this conversation that's happening about how am I going to go apply that, or yes or no, or, it's pretty incredible to see how they can take it and apply it immediately to anything. I mean, just even being in the room around these people.
Yeah. You can't spend 3 days with people of this caliber and at this mindset.
Yeah.
And feel shitty at the end of it.
Right.
And not be motivated at the end of it.
That's right.
And want to just keep doing what you're doing at the end of it. I don't believe that at all. Just the energy and just the quality of individual in this room is so different.
Yeah.
And I think we have the benefit of being of polling from a national across the industry, international.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of the reason why we are able to make it different is because we are able to poll from all corners. Yeah. Where like typical associations, it's regional, it's concrete, or it's asphalt, or something.
And this is united. They're all there. It's asphalt, it's concrete, it's roads and bridges, it's engineering, across the board.
Yeah, but I think, like going to our conversation yesterday, we were talking about somebody who online is doing what I was doing for years, trying to convince people of a new direction.
Yeah.
And I did that. I tried to essentially just preach to the industry about how wrong they were and how right I was, and they should come along. It's just so obvious. How don't you see this? Which was super, super stupid. I don't do that anymore.
Sure.
And we've pivoted to then just work with great companies that are doing great things and that are trying to get better and better and better and better and better. And by definition, really anybody coming to this event is in that category.
Yeah.
They're all people that are hungry to improve.
Yes.
And so when you appeal to that crowd, you also get some of the best people in the industry, period, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. From all backgrounds. You'll have executives of billion-dollar companies, multi-billion-dollar companies, and then you'll have sole proprietors.
Yeah.
Yep. Bought my first skid steer in January, and everything in between, which is really, really, really special as well.
Yeah. No, I'm totally stoked. Really excited to get to San Antonio. Just crossed 770 attendees. So
770. Nice.
On our way to over 1,000. It's
Yeah.
going to be an incredible experience for everybody that comes.
It's a grind to get there, though. I'll tell you.
It is.
Yeah.
But it's worth it.
It's so worth it.
You know, and to me that's part of the fruit of the labor, I guess, is when we show up knowing how many phone calls and how many no's we had to hear to get over 1,000 people in the room. But when you come and you see it and you see them, like just the light bulbs going off, the interaction, the energy, the connection, it's like to me, it's just totally worth it. It's probably like finishing triathlon.
Exactly. Yeah. It's that last little bit. And then I also take great satisfaction, and all the people that told me no will be seeing it on social media nonstop for weeks.
Yeah.
There's no way they can they can outrun it. It's coming for
I was surprised last year. Like I figured that there would be some posting online from the event, but it went on for weeks about the impact that it had on those people. You know, it's actually a good thing. I'm going to go back and review some of those. Just be really cool to kind of go back and look at some of those posts.
Well, and I'm sitting here thinking we need to really make sure we have good places for people to take pictures too.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Because it was kind of it kind of worked out last year, but not. It wasn't.
It was our first year.
It was our first year,
and it was thrown together pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And we had we were in the basement with sponsors, and then we were upstairs. Yeah. This year we're in San Antonio on the Riverwalk at the Grand Hyatt in the convention center. It's going to be an incredible experience. So we should have some pretty cool photo ops this year.
Yeah, but I just can't wait. Yeah, that tsunami of amazing posts from the summit. It's coming. It's coming in November. Yeah. We're gonna beat out the election.
Yes. Oh, true. Election now.
Yeah, election.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah.
The comedian should be funny.
Yeah. But that's an example. How many other events have comedians at the event?
I don't know.
Not that many.
Yeah.
Not that many.
For sure.
So that's the summit, but I think that's the world I'm living in over the next few months, and you are too.
Yeah. Dirtworld.com. Please join us.
It's when I was doing investment every day. So I'm a huge believer in just constant forward progress and just chipping away. Just, did I get on base today? That's all that matters. And so when I was doing investment, for better or for worse, I don't know if this makes me smart or stupid, but I have a notebook, and before, so last night I wrote down everything I need to do today. I get to work, I open up my notebook, I go to the page my pen's at. That's what I need to do today. I don't sit down in the morning and try to figure out what I need to do. I already know what I need to do. And at the top of every damn page, the first item was, Series A, Series A, Series A. I wrote that hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. and I even wrote, because I write one page at the end of the day too, just about what's going on. And I just can't wait to get rid of this stupid Series A from my to-do list every day. I just hate this, but that's not the point. You've got it. It doesn't matter how I feel. I've got to do it.
Right.
So right now Series A's done.
Yeah.
Thank goodness. I'm still recovering.
Praise Jesus.
But we did it. It took us longer than expected. We did it. But now I have Dirt World Summit BD, and I have to do 10.
Yeah.
10 activities.
Right.
So speak with 10 different people, 10 different emails, phone calls, whatever. But individual companies about the summit every single day. And so I have my, summit BD, and then I'll do my little hashes after. And then I always do one more, thanks to Ed Milet. So I always technically do 11, but it's every day right now.
Yeah.
And it is just like, but yesterday, we sold some tickets. It, wasn't a giant day, but we got a few tickets. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I did Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Wednesday starts over. Summit BD, top of the list. Doing it this morning. I've done it for today again.
Yeah.
Thursday.
Yeah.
New day, Summit BD. And it's all you can do.
Yeah. Well, and I'll just say this, it's an incredible product, but it's also an incredible risk for BuildWit. We lean into booking these speakers and the hotel and all these things. So yeah, it's a grind because we want the people there for the right reasons.
100%.
But we also need it to thrive as a business.
Sure.
And so, if you're out there watching, listening, and considering, if you love what we're doing here at BuildWit, if you love Aaron's stories, if you love the mission that we're on, come to the summit, learn and grow, get some incredible value out of it. But it also, really helps us as an organization.
Yeah. Well, and I'm not good at sales because I just feel maybe this is what you have to overcome as a sales rep, or maybe sales reps, pure blood sales reps just don't have this, but I just don't like selling because I feel like I'm like bothering people.
Right.
But I have to constantly remind myself, no. This is probably the most valuable 3 days of this entire year for the right person.
Right.
I shouldn't feel bad about trying to get them there.
I don't refer to it as
it's
selling.
In their best interest.
It's more serving.
Serving, helping, yeah.
Huge opportunity to really, help them learn and grow.
Yeah.
I get it. We all have to justify in our own minds, like what we're doing, why we're doing it, how does it fit with our personal mission, our business mission, et cetera. So I will say this. Thank you. Thanks for grinding every day.
Well,
you lead by example.
You're there too. Yeah.
We're doing it. The sales team's doing it. The SDRs are doing it.
Yeah.
Our extended team members are doing it. They're talking to people on project management calls. CS is doing it. So it's a team effort. I will say that. Like this year, it feels
100%.
like a team effort.
Yeah.
Everybody's kind of doing what they can.
But it has to be. I mean,
100%.
Getting well over 1,000 people at an industry event.
Yeah.
It's a pretty big deal. That's only been held one time before.
Yeah.
It's not a huge track record, but I think that's why the event also is so nice because honestly, it's relieving to me in a way. Like,
yeah.
I made a lot of promises leading up to this.
Yeah.
And then it happens like last year and you can kind of say, I told you so.
Right.
I told you it was going to be good. It was good. I wasn't totally sure it was going to be good, because we'd never done it before. So there's no possible realm in which I could have 100% certainty, but I was pretty sure, but still
yeah.
And it happens. Oh, thank God. Okay. Yeah. I told you, you got your value. We've upheld our end of the bargain here. Now we're going to do it again next year, but twice as good.
Yeah.
And here we are.
It's going to be incredible.
That's it.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
And there's a lot of other stuff going on too. I mean, a million things going on. Mm-hmm. But I think that's the world you and I are living in over the next few months.
Yeah. I'm also helping host on BuildWit Connect, which is a lot of fun.
BuildWit Connect too. Yeah.
That's pretty incredible.
It's been really cool. Yeah. And that's our the summit for, I guess to back up further, just for the sake of redundancy. When I started BuildWit, I thought there was one magic potion that was just tell your story, use social media, you're going to solve your workforce challenge. Very stupid. That's not at all how it works. You've got to draw people in. Storytelling is certainly a part of it. But then you've got to train those people up, like me, people not from the industry, with no background, with no parents that have been around it for 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got to keep them, which is where leadership comes into play. And I think a lot of people within the dirt world will be the first to admit that leadership is not always front and center in the industry. And so that's why we created the Ariat Dirt World Summit is not to make another event. There's enough of those. Is not to have another conference. Is not a pathway to making more money. Like, yeah, does it help our business financially? 100% it does. But that the initial realization and initially there was internal pushback on let's not do that right now. It's too much work. It's too much risk. It's not what we do. Why would we have an event? But it was to really help develop leadership within the dirt world. The problem is it's a 3-day event.
Right.
And so we have the Build It training platform that has leadership on it, but is more so geared toward the field to craft, to crew leaders, to that level of individual across the company, but really the field individuals, skills, but also some leadership. You've got Jocko on there and all kinds of amazing stuff. But we didn't really have anything to cover leadership at the high level more regularly, which is where Build It Connect fills the void.
100%.
And so that is, and it really was also to scale. Randy's been doing some consulting because he's very good at running construction companies.
Incredible.
Very, very good. But he's not scalable. So could we build something more scalable? And that's where we came up with this very simple online community that allows these executives to interact with one another easier.
In a private network. In
a private place, a safe space without all the nonsense that a LinkedIn or other platforms have.
Right.
And then also allows us to bring in industry experts, outside experts weekly to just give people new perspectives on how to run their businesses more effectively and how to look at the world in a more effective way.
Yeah. And Randy and I are on those live sessions, helping co-host and facilitate.
Yeah.
Randy listens, brings a dirt roll perspective to it, asks some great questions. It's pretty incredible. We've got a great speaker lineup between now and Christmas.
Killer lineup.
Incredible lineup. Yeah. Just some phenomenal people. They're going to be a part of that. And yeah, I'm just excited that we have it now. I think it's another great tool. Like it's not a silver bullet, but in combination with everything, daily training, weekly training, workshops, a couple times a year, and then the summit, we've now got this holistic product for kind of that could reach anybody and everybody within the organization. Yeah. That's really focused around that, leadership development for people.
It is quite exciting. Yeah. And we've had 2 calls. One of them, like last week, Mark Miller with, did leadership at Chick-fil-A.
Yeah. And now he's got lead every day.
Whatever it is. Yeah. But just, he wasn't teaching theory.
No.
He was like, here's how we've done it for thousands of stores. And construction workers say construction companies say they have it hard. They do have it really hard from a workforce standpoint, hiring standpoint.
Right.
But a fast food restaurant, a majority, almost their entire workforce is under the age of 25.
Yeah.
A lot of their workforce is under the age of 20. So these are kids. Entry-level position.
Yeah.
Food service. That's as brutal as it gets from a hiring standpoint. And to figure that out at scale.
Yeah.
You've got something right.
And the turnover that they have annually is incredible. So they're constantly hiring new people, training them up, developing, sending them off into the world. Hire new people.
Yeah.
Train them up.
Yeah. But that's just food service.
100%.
It's oftentimes an entry-level job that you get while you're in school, whatever it is, or work, a few years of your career, and then you go to the next thing.
Yeah.
But they work with that. They don't push against it.
Right.
Which I think in construction too, we don't talk about this a lot.
Yeah.
But it's like, it doesn't have to be a lifelong career.
Right.
It doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
If it is, awesome. But if it's not, that's okay too.
Yeah.
Is that not okay? Can that not be okay? I don't think BuildWit is going to be a lifelong career for a majority of the people that work here. Honestly, I don't know. If people stick around, that's awesome. But we've had people come and go, and I think people serve your business. The business serves them.
Right.
And then at a certain point, they don't serve the business in the right way, or the business doesn't serve them in the right way anymore. And that's okay.
Yeah.
And so I think just total years of service, while a good metric, I don't think should be the gold standard metric in today's world. And it might be controversial, but I feel like that's just a realistic take.
Yeah. The thing I liked about Mark on Connect was it was just super simple concepts.
So simple.
Things that you could absorb and put to use, immediately. One of the statements that he made that kind of stuck out to me, and I'm paraphrasing, was, if you like your culture, think leadership. If you don't like your culture, think leadership. And so it was almost like a little bit of the extreme ownership side of things, like, it's on you type thing. But just some real simple, practical nuggets. He's got several books that he's written. But now here's what's cool. He's in the Connect platform.
Yeah.
And so he's not a one and done. He's in there. So he's going to be monitoring the discussions and the communications. People can reach out to him. You can ask questions. He's going to be chiming in on things. So that's what's neat about this, private network, is you've now got these incredible people from all walks of life that are in there that you can learn and grow together with.
But as I've had these conversations, another thing I'm up against is, I'm already in a peer group. It's like, awesome. That's really great. Totally different thing. Like yes, I know it kind of sounds like the same thing, but it's not at all the same thing. I'm not trying to replace your peer group. I'm not trying to do what you do in your peer group, honestly.
Yeah.
It's just a different product. It's completely different.
Yeah.
But it takes time to explain that to people, I think, is the reality. So it's just going to take time to build it, but it's getting built, and it's really cool to see.
Yeah, totally.
Even the discussions in there already and the posts in there, it's really exciting. It's just like, wow, this is working.
Yeah, it's fun. Gonna grow.
Yeah.
Everything takes time.
And then we've got Build with Training 4.0, but that's a little ways out.
I will say we had a call this week really focused on careers pages.
Yes.
That's kind of exciting.
Yeah, that too.
We've always done some of that, but really leaning into that employer branding side of things.
Well, I think, and not getting too far into it yet, but what I've really came back to, and this is something Randy loves, Jim Collins' hedgehog concept. I think we're, as a business, just trying to ask ourselves, what are we most passionate about? Workforce development. What are we best at? There's a few different things, but from a creative standpoint, what are we best at? And what drives our economic engine? I appreciate that one the most nowadays, because if the economic engine doesn't work, it's all for nothing. And it is just a world of hurt to have a business that is not healthy. And it takes a toll, not just on leadership, but the entire business. Everybody, no matter how connected they are to the books, they know.
Yeah.
They know. And so I think we're this year's that not sexy year of taking inventory. And I think trying to figure out what our hedgehog is when it comes to, we've done this with software.
Yeah.
There's a million different software opportunities out there. What are we most passionate about, best at? What's going to drive our economic engine? Build with training. Events. We can take the event in a lot of different ways, man. We can do all kinds of stuff. Well, equipment, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
What are we best at? What are we most passionate about? What drives our economic engine?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Area Third World Summit. Bingo. And so I think with on the creative front, it's just another extension of that.
Yeah.
Which is in everybody's best interest, because it's focused, it's less competitive, and it's a better business.
Yeah.
Which is better for everybody.
Well, and for me, we're serving people, helping solve some of their biggest challenges.
Yes.
And when we can use our team members, our expertise with things that we love and that we're good at, it feels good. We're doing meaningful work, impactful work.
Yep.
And we're making a difference, in these businesses and in the dirt world. So it's kind of fun to figure out like what our offering is and our positioning and our messaging and all of these things. It feels like we are starting to figure out what that hedgehog is and how we are going to go to market and fulfill our mission.
Yeah. Yeah, we are figuring it out.
Yeah, we're close.
I feel like we're growing up. this year. It's been a good year for me as an individual, and I think for a business overall.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I have to pee.
Awesome.
So I think we'll call it a day there.
Fantastic. Good chat.
Yeah.
Until
I guess
next time.
that's the latest at BuildWit.
Yeah.
At least that's where my mind's at. I know that's where your mind's at.
Totally.
We'll see everybody on the next one then.
Right on. Thanks, Aaron.